try Mike. Irish Mike.
Hi.
Oh, there you go.
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing?
Good.
What's going on for today, guys?
Well, we obviously got pros college, but high school, we were talking a little bit high school because Poland plays South Range. So they played earlier in the year and Poland lost 38-30. So they'll have a rematch for the regional finals. Ursuline will play Gilmore Academy. In the other, that would be, I guess, Division 4. Poland's playing Division 5 regional finals.
Yeah. Next Friday night. The sites to be determined sometime late tomorrow afternoon.
Right. We'll know tomorrow, like you said, tomorrow, sometime late afternoon, where Poland and South Range, you have to figure that game will be somewhere local.
Yeah, maybe like an Austin Town pitch, maybe. I don't know. I'm just, I know it's about bidding, Pat. Like, you assume, like, I was surprised that the Ursuline game last night was at North Canton Hoover, being the fact they played Aurora. But I don't know if Niles or Warren Harding or other school districts bid on it like in the past. Normally the higher seed gets the closer home field advantage, so to speak, even if it's by 10 or 15 miles.
We thought about Austin Town, but I think that's too big for those schools to a certain extent, the size of the stadium.
So that remains to be seen.
Yeah, that's what I said. Maybe
Boardman. I was thinking maybe Boardman.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that could be it as well. And I know Ursuline's playing Gilmore Academy, which is up in Gates Mills, which is a suburb of the Cleveland area, east side of Cleveland. So, they're about 50 miles apart or so. So, somebody asked me last night, and I said, well, maybe Warren Harding, but I don't know. I know there's a lot of construction still going on up there with their building, and so I don't know if they're ready to, take that on again like they did in the past, but I don't know that.
Okay. Yeah.
To me, to watch a high school football game, there's no greater venue than Mullenkoff Stadium in Warren. How many great games and great players went through there over the years.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your guys? I know we're going to get the picks here in a little bit, but for college football, it struck me that Pat BYU's playing home against Kansas tonight, and they're only like a 2.5 point favorite at home, playing the Kansas Jayhawks again, who's like 3-6, who beat Iowa State up pretty good last week.
Yeah,
so I don't know if Kansas had some injuries or whatever, and guys are getting back, but I know those guys in Vegas know what they're doing. So I think we got to look really as we move forward with these 12-team playoff guys. Like, I'm not sure we can do the conference officials things anymore moving forward. I think we have to have roving crews, because if you watch the BYU-Utah game, and I think the Utah AD, Pat, got fined $40,000 for comments after the game. There was some, how did we say this nicely? Interesting calls down the stretch.
Oh, in that Utah game?
Yes.
Well, wasn't there the call? I didn't see the game, but I heard that, was it like fourth down, BYU was fourth and some outrageous number.
Yeah, they were on their own 8-yard line, 4th and 10, with a minute left to go in the game, with one timeout.
That's it. And then they threw a defensive holding.
Sacked on his own 1-yard line. The BYU quarterback got sacked on his own one, which was turn the ball over to BYU with the Utah with the lead, and they're on the 1-yard line up by 2 points, and game's over because they only got one timeout.
Right.
They called defensive holding.
That's it. And evidently it was very questionable call from what everybody said. I know they were talking a lot about it on the Brady Quinn show with LeVar and Jonas Knox. I think Petros Papadakis was on, and they were kind of kicking that whole thing around, how people are really outraged by the call. And basically,
Joe Clatton, another national guy, Pat, watch a lot of football games. That's what they do for a living during the week. And they, like Joe Klatt said, they were letting both sides be very physical all game. And, to call that in that situation, you were letting that go on the whole game. You didn't call it in the first, second, third quarter. He said that's not the time to call that either, because you hadn't called the whole game. And
I think that's what drives fans and coaches absolutely crazy, is the inconsistency of the referees, and that if you're not calling that in the first, second, third quarter, and then in obviously the most important part of the game, you throw the flag and you basically bail out BYU because they went on and kicked the field goal and won the game 22-21, I believe.
Correct.
So
correct.
That was going to be a BYU loss, and that's obviously a big rival game between Utah and.
Yes. And people take notice of this stuff, Dave Clark. I mean, let's go. Last year the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line led the NFL, or they were in the top 3 in the NFL with most holding calls during the season. And then last year in the Super Bowl, how many holding calls the offensive line had the Chiefs against in the Super Bowl? Do you remember? Yeah, the answer is 0.
Right.
0. The philosophy has always been in big games, any sport, let them play.
Right.
Let them play. Let them figure it out. If it's blatantly obvious, you call it, but anything else, you let them play.
Well, LeVar Arrington was talking about that yesterday on the show yesterday. And he said that, he was commenting on the Washington-Philadelphia game, the Thursday night game. And he said that he watched that game and he said, you could call holding or you could throw a flag about on every play. I mean, seriously, the referees, if you watch those linemen closely and you want to put the letter of the law down, you could throw that flag every play.
Sure.
And that's
and let's face it, Pat, those Thursday night games, and you watch them, I watch them, Dave watched them. Those are different caliber of football because those guys are coming back on short rests.
Right.
And the quality of the game is not as good. I'm sorry. I've said that for years. I know it's about money. I get it. It's about money, point blank, end of story. But it's not really fair to those players that, minus Thanksgiving, I don't know about those short turnarounds all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Look what the NFL is about to put the Steelers through moving forward. Just look at that schedule over the next month, okay? And look at a couple short rests. And I'm not a Steelers fan, but they're going to play in Cleveland this coming Thursday. And then and a couple weeks right before the holiday, they play on a Saturday. And then they play the Chiefs at home on a Wednesday, which is Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
Yes.
So they have a lot of short rests here coming the next month, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
in the next 5 weeks.
Because the NFL can't get enough money, so they need to squeeze more blood out of the turnip, sort of to speak. But yeah, that's basically what you have here is, the NFL is putting games on Christmas, maybe
on a
Wednesday because they want to tick off the NBA. Or Roger just knows that they're going to have great viewership then.
Yeah, they're going to have it. I don't care what day they put it on.
It doesn't matter.
NFL.
It's NFL. And the ratings. And they got 2 great games on, by the way, for Christmas.
Yeah, no.
And
on
Netflix.
And they both are good. They are good games.
And they are really good games. So people are going to line up for Netflix and they're going to sign up. If you don't have it, you're going to get it for those games.
And watch the streaming go out like it did for the last night during the fight. And my wife we went to the Cavs Bulls game. We got home to watch the fight and she was complaining about it, kept going in and out. And I said, I don't know if you guys remember your movie buffs, but 5 years ago, Netflix premiered the movie The Irishman with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci on Netflix. The night before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the same thing happened. That so many people were online streaming to watch it that they couldn't hold the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what might happen. To that game on especially obviously Christmas Day. People are going to be flocking to the TVs because everyone's going to be home with their family, and the kids will have the toys opened up, and by then the adults will probably want to be they'll be ready to watch football.
Right.
So, I think the only day of the week this year, Dave Clark, that the Chiefs do not play a game is on a Tuesday. They play every other day of the week around the season, minus Tuesday.
Wow.
They play 6 out of the 7 days. Because I made the comment last year to you guys that, Christmas is on a Wednesday next year. There won't be any NFL games. And Lucia said they'll figure out a way. And by golly, they did.
Yeah. Well, they're going to get it on there.
Well, that's basically again, the NFL is going to squeeze, and they're going to put an NFL playoff game on Prime this year. So one of the NFL games playoffs will be on Prime, Amazon Prime. So people that don't have Prime will either sign up for it or don't get the game. So, that's the kind of the bottom line. Hey, I know you sent me a text this week. I did want to get to it. I guess the NCAA is turning up the heat on USC on violations. And
I was shocked by that, Pat. I was shocked.
So that means USC potentially can get out of, if they want to fire him, they can use cause and not have to pay him his buyout.
Correct, because they owe him 6 more year contract. I texted a friend last night who's a big USC guy and got a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
I texted him that same article, and he texted me back 2 words, not happening. That's all he said. So,
yeah, I mean, you've seen that you're talking about with the additional coaches and all that.
yes.
Yeah. Now, before that, it actually was in motion before they ever made that rule, too. Before they came up with that rule, that was already in motion, already was done. And they brung that up about, even though they're still going, but that the one announcer said, well, that's just the NCAA. They got to find something.
So what exactly is the NCAA getting him on now?
Yeah, like, what is it, 6 extra coaches?
For extra coaches?
Yeah, you can't have, it's a certain number that you're allowed to have. But he had more than that coaches on his staff, but it was before they implemented that rule.
Okay.
So he didn't never reduce it. He just left, the guys was part of his staff.
Right.
He never reduced it, so they got him for it.
Wow.
They'll find something. That's the NCAA. Oh, yeah. They got to find something.
Oh, brother.
Not recruiting violations, coaches.
So he had too many coaches.
Yep.
But it was okay when he had that many. They institute a rule, and he didn't go back and cut the coaches. Yeah. So now they come to him and says, oh, by the way, you violated the NCAA rule because you had too many coaches. He's probably saying, yeah, but I had him before you ever implemented the rule. Like, he's probably thinking, so what, was I supposed to fire the other coaches
that's what he's supposed to
get to the rule? Or, how was the rule something moving forward? Or, like, what's the story?
I mean, that's what it should have been. These guys, almost like what they do at certain jobs or something, they may grandfather somebody in, already in.
That's what,
and just leave it that way. But, once it is reduced, or you give them time before you do that. You don't just tell, you got to change it right now. So I'll just come in the office, I fire 6 coaches just so we can get down to it. I mean, what are you causing disarray in a program just with that?
Yeah.
But that's the NCAA.
But they need to go away.
Bad.
they need to get. Well, now USC's trying to use that as leverage to buy out of his $90 million buyout.
Yep.
He's due $90 million if they buy him out. Now they're not obviously happy with the way the season's gone and what he's done there. So they're looking to buy him out. They're going to have to buy him out, or now they're saying because of this egregious violation of too many coaches, we're not going to buy you out, or I'm sorry, we're not going to pay you your buyout,
right? Because
you've had this egregious violation with the NCAA. It wasn't hamburgers, but by God, it was way too many coaches.
But look at that now everybody comes corrupt because they do that, and now USC establishment, they want to get rid of them, and this is the perfect time to do it. We don't have to pay all that money.
Right. So, do you think the USC was working with the NCAA to set this up?
Heck no. Nobody works with them.
Do you think USC was working with the NCAA because they wanted to get rid of him? No. So somebody called up the NCAA from USC and said, hey, he's got too many coaches. We saw this rule. He's over. Can you go ahead and give us the violations? Because now we can get rid of him and not pay the $90 million.
I would never trust. I don't think any college would trust the NCAA because they'll go and say that, and they say, "Okay, thanks for that information." Next thing they know, you got a violation for this recruiting. Yeah. You did this as a college. No, no way.
It just
nobody wants to be cool with the NCAA.
I don't know. Well, I was just thinking USC would use the NCAA as their pit bull
But the only thing about that
money,
I think you do something like that, you make yourself vulnerable to a lot that.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah, so I don't think you say anything. But now, it's just perfect. This is a perfect thing for them to use.
There's so much corruption. It's just always. We talked about it last week. No matter what, it's always the money. Follow the money no matter where you ever go in this crazy world. Just follow the dollars. Honest to gosh, that is so corrupt.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I think I wouldn't be shocked if anything doesn't surprise me. Somebody from USC, hey, we don't want to pay this guy the money. How do we get out of it? Okay. Oh, look, they've got a rule. Lincoln Riley still has all these coaches on the staff. Hey, this is our way out. No, that would never happen.
Yeah, I'd be nervous to do that as a college. I wouldn't do it. There's no way even if I knew it was something wrong, I'm not using them as
what
my
do you
part.
think, Irish Mike?
Not them.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that'd be obviously very shady on their end from the administrative end.
But
I mean, the only thing I always go back to 3 years ago when surprisingly Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma to go to USC. You know, he got big money, obviously.
Right.
Everyone said, remember 6 months earlier, Oklahoma announced that them and Texas were going to the SEC starting in 2024, and people said, "Oh, Lincoln Riley doesn't want any part of the SEC. That's why he's leaving Oklahoma." Well, if you look at your standings this morning, guys, in the SEC, okay. Guess who's in last place in the SEC? Oh, by the way, the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah, Oklahoma Sooners.
So maybe he wasn't wrong looking at it and said, we had a pretty good deal in the Big 12 year after year after year. We had a very favorable schedule. We were one of the 2 most talented teams. We could win 9 or 10 games every year, you know what I mean, playing in the Big 12. But once Oklahoma switched to the SEC, everyone said, Lincoln didn't want any part of it. So he went to USC. Then he's out there a year, and USC switches to the Big 10. Right?
Yeah.
But,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never been known, Dave Clark, to be a great recruiter. He's not one of those guys that gets on the trail like Marcus Freeman's and other people that have reputations for being great recruiters. That they like recruiting. It doesn't bother them.
That would have I could see him doing that because of the SEC. Because not that they didn't have talent, because you could see it when Oklahoma played the SEC this year. Early in the game, that first quarter, maybe midway through the second, very competitive. Very competitive. But then after that, it is broke down. Why? Because their teams are not built for that type of league. They got to go and recruit and get those type of players to play that type of football. It's just like that. It's not the wide open, let's just throw it around. It's more of a pro style, heavy duty, big time lines that controls the games. And that's what you got to build. And if he's not a recruiting guy, then he don't want no part of that, because now he's got to get on the big time recruiting trail to get those type of players.
Well, he does have access to a private jet, so he could use that to do his recruiting. He does have access, but he
don't feel like talking to all people. Like doing if he doesn't like recruiting, he doesn't like to sit in a lot of living rooms, as they say. So
he doesn't like chasing the 17-year-old kids from Pig Knuckles, Arkansas, who's supposed to be a 5-star recruit. He doesn't want to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not. That's not his gig. His gig is calling plays.
Right. He likes to call plays. He should be in the NFL.
And the reality is, if you look at the talent on the roster, what schools really benefited from all that in the last, since Pete Carroll left USC, is the Oregon Ducks, Pat.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with their NIL deal and Phil Knight, Nike and everything, but they've recruited the heck out of Southern California.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, that's a good point. The Oregon Ducks have taken advantage of and obviously now Nike, with Phil Knight there, he could throw all the money and he could do NIL out the wazoo and give a lot of money to all these kids coming in and give them NIL money like no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And he can buy a lot of these kids the talent that you need. And that's basically that's the landscape of college sports. And that's why some of the coaches are bailing out and not, they're retiring and getting out early and doing TV or doing something else, but they're not coaching anymore.
Right. Yep.
Because they don't want to.
And Dave Clark, that he's gotten turned up down the bayou for Brian Kelly. Okay, this is third loss this year, and this will be the third straight year in a row. You're going to have at least 3 losses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
Brian Kelly might be on the proverbial hot seat down there because they don't have a tolerance.
Yeah,
they're not very tolerant of any kind of losing, and 3 losses. Back in the day, Earl Bruce went 9-3, and it's the year that he didn't go 9-3. He went 6-4-1. He got fired.
Mm-hmm.
So they were wanting to fire Earl Bruce.
Yeah,
and they were all that debate about. And now Ryan Day's, if he loses to Michigan again which he shouldn't this year.
No, he really shouldn't this year.
Not this year. He better worry about Indiana. But bottom line is,
if he better get ready for them. He better
get ready for Indiana. He's got Northwestern today. They're playing that at Wrigley Field. Why they play football at Wrigley Field, I don't know.
Yeah, they're doing renovation.
Northwestern's been using an off-site field all year long because there's reconstruction of their stadium, so they haven't used their home field all year long.
Right.
And they use a smaller venue, and Wrigley was a bigger venue to bring Ohio State in. So,
but they don't have a lot
of the circumstances surrounding why Northwestern's home field hasn't been used all year, but they've been the field they've been using is only for 12, 13,000 people. They played Indiana at home and a few other Big Ten schools at home, but they're using Wrigley Field for Ohio State game today.
That's why, because of the size of it.
Yeah, they can put more people in the stands.
And you just say, follow the money.
Yeah, follow the man.
So that's what they got to do. They go there. I don't like the construction or the setup of Wrigley Field for football.
No.
It's just not.
It's terrible.
Not conducive for football.
When they first used, I know a local official worked the first game out there, and they changed the rule. I think it was Illinois played Northwestern out there 10 years ago for the first time. Wrigley hosted the game, and they could only go in one direction offensively.
Right.
It was a safety hazard.
Right.
Because the wall was too close to the back of the end zone, they felt.
Hold on, Irish Mike. We'll be back after this to our college picks Saturday morning sports page, Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
What do basketball, choir, drama club, and marching band all have in common? They're all high school activities that offer learning opportunities not necessarily found in the classroom. They take up just a fraction of a typical Ohio high school's budget, and they go a long way to giving young people the tools they need to thrive. High school activities, they're more than extracurricular. They're extra important, too. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday morning sports page coming right back at you. Got Irish Mike, Dave Clark, Irish Mike on the phone. Let's go ahead and get to the picks right
now. I got about 12, 13 minutes. I'm on my way to do some things for young men, run around and listen, blow whistles. So
okay, good.
12, 13 minutes.
Oh gosh, okay. Yeah, you're going to get...
Dave Clark's the one who used to yell at me for doing that, just by the way, Lucia.
Okay, yes. You're going to get berated by some parents today. Good luck.
We'll be okay.
Yeah, I know you're a survivor. Let's go ahead and go. By the way, we were Irish Mike. You were 4-6 last week, or no, 4-5. Dave was 2-7. I was 3-6. So we didn't do all that great. You were for like
we had that quarterback thing going on a couple games, the Army game and the Georgia Tech game, the quarterback thing. Remember?
The quarterback
we talked about that.
We didn't do good on the other ones.
We won those, didn't we?
Yeah, we won those.
Those are the games we won.
They were the ones we won.
We were correct on the quarterbacks, though. We were correct that they needed the quarterbacks to do well. Both teams did well with their quarterbacks.
We won that. We won that. Yes, we won those games, but we lost all the others. We lost Georgia. We lost Indiana. Didn't cover. We lost Iowa State, Kansas, because Kansas actually won. We lost the Utah because BYU didn't cover. And we obviously lost LSU and Bama. Oh, my gosh. That wasn't even a very good game at all.
Destroyed.
That
game in the Bayou.
In the Bayou. They got
night.
At night. Coach, what's-his-face, Kelly got absolutely boat raced in the Bayou.
Yeah, you don't see that happen.
You don't see. Let's get to the picks so Irish Mike can get yelled at.
Yes, sir.
Texas at Arkansas or Arkansas. Never mind. Anyway, 13. Arkansas is getting 13 points at home.
I'm going to take Texas.
You want Texas, Dave Clark?
Yep.
I'll take Texas.
Yeah, I got to go Texas. Better team. Let's move on to the Utah-Colorado game. The minus 11. Utah's getting 11 points on the road at Colorado at noon, Fox. The other game is ABC noon.
I'll take Colorado at home, Pat.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Yeah, that's kind of almost a slam dunk. Clemson at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is getting 12 points at home. So it's a home dog. Pittsburgh, Clemson on the road, and it's probably rainy in Pittsburgh or cloudy and cold. So it's not a great day. You know, if you're Clemson, you're playing 80 degrees all the time, it seems. So not a great day, but Pittsburgh getting 12 points. They lost last week to Virginia, 24-19 Virginia, and then Clemson beat Virginia Tech 24-14.
I'm gonna ride Clemson again. I think Clemson's hot right now.
Yeah, and is Clemson giving up 12?
Yep, they're giving up 12 at home.
Can I do three in a row?
Pitt's home dog getting 12 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this 3 in a row, giving up not double digits.
Yeah, it is double digits. Yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
You're taking Pitt?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the no. Clemson's the favorite, right?
Yeah, Clemson's the favorite.
No, I'm giving up the points. I give it.
All right.
I'm gonna take Clemson.
All right. I'll go out and I'll take Pitt in the points. LSU at Florida. Florida gets 3 and a hook. And we already said about LSU's issues. They got crushed last week. So did Florida. Florida got crushed by Texas last week, 49-17. Bama crushed LSU. So both teams are coming back from their day in the woodshed where they got absolutely taken to it. So 3:30 on ABC today. Both teams like licking wounds from last week. Bad losses. 4-5 is Florida's record. 6-3 LSU's record. LSU out of the playoff picture, obviously.
I would think. I think LSU should win this, but
giving up 3 and a hook.
I'll take LSU, Pat, just because they have the better quarterback and they can score some points. I'll take LSU and Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Is Lagway playing at quarterback for Florida?
Yes, he's playing, yes.
Can he keep it just with his mobility? But I don't know if that's going to be enough. I'll go ahead LSU one more time.
I'll take LSU
and
too.
Kelly, if you lose this one, I'm done with you.
Yeah, you may not be the only one done with him. He may be done after this season. He keeps losing. They don't have a high tolerance for losing down there. Arizona State at Kansas State. And Arizona State is getting 7 and a hook. So Kansas State lost last week. No, they were on the bye. Kansas State was bye last week, but the week before they lost to Houston 24-19. Arizona State beat UCF last week 35-31. So Arizona State is getting 7 and a hook on the road at Kansas State.
I think, is that enough?
Yeah, that's the question. The question is, could it be that hook get you?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's the question.
Oh.
I'll take Kansas State and I'll lay the hook.
I like them at home.
That's why I'll go Kansas State at home.
Just because
I'll go Arizona State and take the points back. Give me the Sun Devils. I'll take the points.
You got the hook. How about you, Dave Clark?
No, I'm going to take Kansas State at home.
K-State, okay. Let's move on to Oregon at Wisconsin. And they're laying 13 and a hook. So Wisconsin is the home team coming off a bye, getting 13 and a hook at home.
I'm still taking Oregon.
Me too. I'll take Oregon.
Wow. Yeah, I know they're coming off a bye, and it's like the third time, and they said in 5 weeks that Oregon's traveling different time zones. They came to Purdue, they came to Michigan, now they're coming to Wisconsin. So those are long flights, but not long enough to stop that offense. Give me the Ducks.
Yeah, me too. I think the Ducks are way too good. They're just so much better than these other teams in the Big Ten. Tennessee at Georgia, big game tonight. Georgia going see, this is tough. Georgia's laying 9 and a hook to Tennessee. So Tennessee 8-1 gets 9 and a hook at Georgia tonight, 7:30 ABC. Georgia can't lose really any more games or they may be out. They are 7-2. They can't have that third loss or they will probably be out of the 12-team playoff.
Right. And Tennessee is getting how much in there?
9 and a hook.
Tennessee's got the best defensive line in the country, and Georgia can't run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball all year on anybody. And, you know, their skill's not as good this year for what their passing game. And give me Tennessee in the 9.5. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Vols won the game outright.
Yeah.
But I'll take Tennessee in 9.5.
It's a lot of hook.
And the quarterback is playing tonight for Tennessee. He is going to play, Dave.
Okay, yeah. They did say. I'm going to go Tennessee, too. It's tough, but
I'll go Georgia.
The game is in Georgia, too.
In Georgia.
They're in must-win, Pat. You're right. They're in must-win, 100% must-win.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking their back is against the wall. They're going to come out.
All those cliches, absolutely.
Two left, Washington State at New Mexico. New Mexico gets 10 points. Washington State won last week against Utah State, 49-28. New Mexico lost San Diego State.
New Mexico.
I'll take Washington State.
New Mexico.
I'll take the Cougars. I'll take Washington State.
Yeah.
How many New Mexico is getting?
10.
Yeah, let me go on I want to go on a little surprise. I'm gonna go with they're at home too, right?
Yep. New Mexico home.
I seen them earlier in the season. They can score, so I'm just gonna go with them.
Okay, I'll take Washington State later. And finally, our favorite, Kansas at BYU. We talked about BYU and Utah, and then 2.5. Kansas is getting 2 and a hook. 2 and a hook.
Is that BYU? Is that BYU?
Yes, and Kansas gets 2. Yeah, Kansas gets 2 and a hook at BYU. That's all it is 2.5 points.
I know, it's weird.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird. But
three and six.
They're even teams on a neutral field, right, Pat? That's what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean it is because Kansas is 3-6, BYU's 9-0, but they're only laying and they're home. BYU is the home team. I know. They lay 2.5. It's almost like you said, an even bet.
Yeah. I'm still going to take Brigham.
I'm not going to fall for that. I'm going to go with BYU just because they're at home. I mean,
me too.
So I'll go with the BYU Cougars.
Now I know that Kansas did get a bunch of players back that they needed. I mean, these was guys they needed. And that's why you see them playing so well.
To play good.
Yeah,
but I still think Brigham Young, with that scare of last week, I think they'll be ready to play at home.
Because they beat Iowa State last week. Kansas beat them 45-36.
And that really is not indication of the game. It wasn't no 45-30. They were blowing them out. They were pounding them.
And Iowa State, Pat, last week was in must-win situation like Georgia tonight. They had to win that game, and they got killed.
Yep, they got killed. So that's what make you wonder.
Yeah, I know that you got me wondering here.
I'm gonna still take BYU. I think it's a okie doke. I think it's one of them to get you to say if you're a betting guy, oh, this is great.
Wasn't that game at Iowa State too?
When they played, let me see. That might have been at Kansas.
No, it was at Kansas.
It was at Kansas. They were at home.
They got 3 points at home. It was at Kansas. I looked that up. Okay.
And Brigham Young played that type of game that they got
I'll take
gift.
Brigham Young.
Yeah, they got a gift last time. So, hey, you like gifts sometimes. This time, I think they're going to take care of business.
Yeah, I think so.
Woo. There's some tough ones. Irish Mike.
Before I get going here, next Saturday night at 7 o'clock in Yankee Stadium, New York, it's going to be potentially 10-0 Army, who's ranked 22nd in the country now 21st, against a potentially 9-1 Notre Dame team. It's the Notre Dame home game, but it's in Yankee Stadium in New York.
Yep.
I mean, can you imagine the atmosphere of that game, guys? Night game,
that'll be crazy.
NBC.
Yeah.
Shouldn't College Game Day, Pat, go there next week and do their show
They should.
Square in New York City?
Yes, they should. They should.
But you know,
I mean, that's going to be a great. I mean, it might be the biggest Notre Dame Army game since like World War II. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, the game day might go there. Now they might be inclined to want to go to Ohio State, Indiana.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right.
But that's a tough one though to pass because that tradition and how long that's been around.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to pass that up.
And I hate Lucia's going to get a big smile on his face here, Dave. But it is New York City too. You know, like
that's right.
Yeah, it is.
And Lucia will tell you, even though West Point's only an hour outside of New York City, he'll tell you there'll be way more Notre Dame fans there than there'll be Army fans.
It doesn't matter.
That's been like that when I was there
forever. Ever.
I lived in that.
It was Notre Dame was always New York's team.
Yeah.
Always. The subway, they call them the subway alumni.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because all the people
and I actually teach at Dave Clark in school. You know what I do for a living? I teach the kids that, Rockne marketed his program. Rockne was a great marketer back in the 20s. And, obviously the times are much different there. And that's where all the Catholic immigrants lived in New York City and Philadelphia and Chicago.
Yep.
So he said, we're not going to play in South Bend, Indiana. We're going to put them on a train. We're going to go to New York City. We're going to go to Philadelphia. We're going to go to Chicago.
And that's why they played.
That's where all the Catholic immigrants are.
And remember, they played a lot of games there.
Embrace Notre Dame.
Notre Dame played a lot of games with those plays like Soldier Field. They used to play in old Veteran Stadium for different games, all kinds of stuff. Well, it used to be Franklin Field when you go way back.
I'm saying Notre Dame doesn't really play road games. They play neutral site games. Like when they played Georgia Tech, they played in the Dome. They didn't play in Georgia Tech's field.
No.
And they're going to play Yankee Stadium. And there's one other place this year. They only had They only had USC, Purdue, and Texas A&M where they actually had to do road games. The other ones were neutral site games.
Yeah, because where was
Navy? Did they go to Ireland? They didn't go to Ireland.
Where was Navy? Where was
Navy? They played Navy in Giants Stadium where the Jets and Giants play.
Yeah,
that's it.
And they just announced they're playing Navy in 2026 up in Foxborough, the home of the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
That'll be a Navy home game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a traveling.
Of their 6 road games, they've only played 3 true road games at Texas A&M, at Purdue, and later on this year when they play Southern Cal in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're like a traveling.
I got to get going here. It's always great talking to you two guys.
Okay.
You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for taking my call.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
Irish
care.
Mike. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, that college football is absolutely insanity.
Yeah, it's been good every week.
Every week is something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we had some good games early, all the time, but since maybe the 5th week on, every weekend there's some kind of big game
and something crazy goes on.
So it's games today you can have enjoyment. Start at noon and
that's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah,
the beautiful part of the whole thing is what's great about Saturdays, not even Sunday anymore. You could turn your TV on at noon on Saturday, and you can watch all the way till 2 a.m. Because you've got tonight at 10:15 is
probably something good, I'm sure.
BYU. BYU's on tonight on ESPN on 10:15.
Against Kansas.
Yes. So that game's at 10:15 tonight. So that means that doesn't get over to.
It'll be easily
1:30, probably.
Yep.
At least 1:30 in the morning. But today at noon, we didn't do the Tulane game, but that game's on at noon. But obviously Texas, Arkansas is on noon ABC, and then Fox is Utah. Now the funny part, Utah's at Colorado. That's noon, but it's 10 o'clock in Colorado.
Yeah, I know.
So Colorado's actually playing at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And the Buckeyes are on today at noon, but they're on the Big Ten Network. They're playing Northwestern at Wrigley Field on the Big Ten Network at noon.
Mm-hmm.
And evidently I heard that a lot of Buckeye fans are upset because they don't like these noon starts.
Yeah, I mean,
they like the 3:30 or the night, but they don't like playing at noon all the time. And unfortunately, and I think next week's Indiana game is a noon game too.
Yeah. Yep. I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure. I thought I already saw that.
And I remember, now this season I haven't heard it, but last year they got on Dion because he didn't like the home noon game because, as we said, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And, people, quit crying about it. And what did they talk about? All these coaches, in most cases, don't like the continuously noon game. They don't.
No, they don't.
Especially in those type of locations where they're on Central or Mountain Time, like Colorado is Mountain Time, 2 hours difference, 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we used to play scrimmages at that time in the morning, but, and that's hard. You get to get up for a game and really ready to go get flowing.
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
Because people not realizing you have to be ready probably about 6:30 in the morning to start getting yourself together, getting going.
You got prep.
You got stuff to go over. That's tough. That's tough. That is tough.
Yeah, I agree with. I agree with them. I don't know why they have those noon starts.
Noon is a tough one,
but when it's 10 in the morning, can't you put Utah, Colorado on at 4 o'clock?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do that, 2 o'clock,
do the 3:30,
so it'd be real noon. I mean, if
at least if you're going to do it like at 3:30, so that's like a 1:30 start.
Yeah,
that's a little bit more easier. But the noon and the 10 in the morning and get those kids ready, and like you said, you're getting up. One thing we didn't talk about, and I'll throw it out there. I didn't watch it last night. It was on Netflix. I didn't really have any big desire, but Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson in a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Tyson's 58.
Yeah, the thing about it was set up for him to win. And when I say that, if anybody was watching that, I haven't seen a ring that big since the...
really?
It was big.
Okay.
It was...
I
when I say, you have a big ring...
Yeah,
it's right there, plays in the hands of Jake Paul because he's going to stay away.
Right.
And not at first, though. He came in like, I'm going to get inside, and he tasted a little bit of the power.
Yeah, he got
hit.
Because Tyson could still hit.
He could still hit, and he tasted that, and he stayed, and he used his distance.
That was it.
And because Tyson is not going to have the legs to keep rushing and getting after this guy. Not like that.
No.
So, but for him to be out there, that was something.
It is.
And to go all 8 rounds, and guy couldn't put him down. No. Nothing like that. So good to see that happen. But man, I'm gonna tell you, Pat, the undercard was the thing. The fights that came on before it. Man, those was a ladies' championship fight. That was a war. And then there was another championship fight before that. In the lightweight division, that was a war. And I'm talking about, that was something you could sit down and just watch them two and been satisfied. You didn't have to watch anything else. That's how good those fights were. Yeah, those were good. Those were definitely good.
So other news out there, Indiana football rewarded coach Kurt Cignetti a new 8-year contract that runs through 2023 and will pay him an average of $8 million a year, and an annual $1 million retention bonus, putting the total value at $72 million. So he's going to be coaching Indiana
till 2033.
Yeah, till 2033 until 2033 on the 32. I'm sorry, 2032.
Okay.
Bottom line is until someone else comes along and offers him a lot more money if he continues to win in Indiana, then he'll go somewhere else, maybe. Yeah. But Indiana's got their coach, and he's done a great job. He's got them 9-0.
You got them playing. They play big time.
And they do. They are one of the surprise teams.
They're off, aren't they?
They're off this week.
And then they play Ohio State.
They play Ohio State and then Purdue.
Yeah, that's it. That's all that's left for them.
And that's the rival game.
And Ohio State got Northwestern
and
them and then Michigan.
Right. So Buckeyes are Northwestern at Wrigley, Indiana home, and Michigan home.
Oh,
And the last time that Indiana beat Ohio State at Ohio State was 1987. And that was when Coach Mowry, Bill Mowry, was head coach of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that know, but he was a assistant under Woody Hayes when Ohio State won the national title in 1968. Then he left for Miami University and was the head coach there. He was in Colorado, Northern Illinois, and then he ended up in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And he beat Earl Bruce, and that was Earl Bruce's last year as coach of Ohio State. Because Earl, later in the year, the game before Michigan, they lost to Iowa on the last play of the game. Mm-hmm. Earl Bruce was fired that Monday morning, but they kept him to coach Michigan at Michigan. So he goes up and he wins at Michigan. Mm-hmm. They go 3-6-4-1, and all of a sudden people are upset because they fired Earl and he beat Michigan. Then they had a little bit of the George Steinbrenner syndrome, is fire the coach and want to hire him again. And the people wanted Ohio State to rehire Earl, and they wouldn't. And Ohio State had a bowl invitation to this, I believe, the Sun Bowl, and they wouldn't take it because they were afraid if they won the Sun Bowl, then there'd be way too much outrage if Earl wins and goes 7-4-1. Then people would be, you can't now fire the guy because he just basically beat Michigan and won the bowl. So they didn't go to the bowl. They turned the bowl down. Chris Spielman was on that team. He was upset that they turned the bowl down because he was like, you can't do that to us. We want to prove we could, we want to make we had a rough season. We lost really tough games this year. We want to win that bowl game to have something. And this school says, no. Earl's fired and he's gone. And the note is he beat Michigan at Michigan. Mm. And the next time Ohio State won at Michigan, it was Jim Tressel's first year as coach because John Cooper never won with Ohio State at Michigan.
Right.
And all the years Cooper coached, the 13 years, Cooper went 2-10-1, and he'd never won in Michigan with Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of like, it was funny that Ohio State won in Michigan, Earl's last game, last season, and they didn't win again until Jim Tressel's
That was a curse for them.
It was. It was
doing that.
That was a curse.
Yeah, because you know what? If you're going to fire them, and these kids, you got to think about the kids. They're winning. They win a big game in Michigan. But before they even went to Michigan, you should just fire them and release him of his duties and put somebody as an interim.
Put the assistant,
Just put him at an interim. Don't have him, that's a lame duck coach, just going and coaching. And I give him all the, cool, you got to give him something to go and still coach. Because you got to be bitter that you got fired.
Yep.
I don't care how you sway. You might act like, I'm okay. No, you're bitter about that. And you go up there against the hated rival and beat them on their field. And then after that, you get a bowl bid, and they all know we're not going. Now you alienate the kids who was at that school.
Oh yeah,
that was not a good PR move for Ohio State back then at all.
No,
not at all.
It was a disaster. It was an unbelievable, no doubt, one of the biggest disasters, and I'll never forget it. Like as long as we were talking about it, it was like, how in the heck did they screw this up? And they screwed it up big time.
Yes, they did. That's just what I would have did. I would have named the interim. If you're firing them, just have them away from the program, period. Like you said, that's what they thought. With that big win, it was already, I remember that too, a big uproar about keeping him. And then if he went to the Sun Bowl, I forgot who they would have played to.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
But it was somebody that was higher ranked than them. I remember that.
Was it UTEP?
It was somebody that was good. They were
because the president at the time was Ed Jennings, was the president of Ohio State. And then they all got enraged about him because he was the one. Because what happened on it is Rick Bay was the AD, and Bay liked Earl, but Bay fired Earl and then resigned.
Yeah.
Right after he told Jennings, I'll fire him, but then I quit. So it was just like, and then everybody knew it wasn't Bay who fired him. They knew it was Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
So then everybody was, I guess they were, from what I understand, that people were going to Jennings' house and like knocking on the door and protesting. Not sure if that happened, but I had heard that people just went absolutely bonkers down at Ohio State. That they fired early, beats Michigan. They get to go to a bowl game. I think they would have played UTEP maybe at the Sun Bowl out there. And I guess people, and then they wanted to go to the bowl game.
Yeah.
And the players obviously want to go to
definitely
this bowl
want
game.
to. You got a big win over Michigan.
Right.
Now you get rewarded with a bowl game to show even more of your prominence. And you tell them no.
No. And you weren't a horrible team. You were 6-4-1.
And that lets you know how much he really cared about the kids. That's right. I mean, that's how I would feel.
That's how I looked at it too.
Yeah, I would feel really outraged.
Right. And the press was outraged.
Yeah. I mean,
because then they were like, and then the only reason why he didn't want to go to the bowl game is because he was afraid they would win the bowl game.
Yep.
And then it's like, now you're firing your coach after he beats your hated rival, goes out and wins a bowl game. Now you're firing him. And they were almost like the momentum was going all in Earl's favor. And they kind of, because Earl wasn't well liked, but after people felt bad he got fired, and then he goes beats Michigan. Mm-hmm. And then everyone was like, hey, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't have fired him.
Right.
Because Steinbrenner did that with his managers. George Steinbrenner fired Showalter, and after he fired him a day later, he called him. He goes, "I want to hire him back."
Yeah, I remember that.
And Buck Showalter said, "No, I don't want it. I'm done. I'm moving on." He did the same thing with Billy Martin.
Yeah.
Halftime Saturday morning sports page. We get to the NFL. Lots of talk.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112. Ina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Saturday morning sports page, back at you. We were just talking about when Earl Bruce was fired. Just to share a little story, I was living in Columbus at the time, and a good friend of mine and I went out to lunch, and we're talking about Earl Bruce getting fired. And we were like, they shouldn't have fired him. You know, he beat Michigan, let him go to a bowl game. Can't they, rescind it or whatever? There's a guy who overhears me, comes up to our table, looks at me, goes, he deserved to get fired. I was like, who are you? Who are these people? It's like,
man, take it too far.
Break.
People.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get to the NFL. We got so much to get to, Dave Clark. We might as well start off. Let's do the, at least get, as we could do our picks, we could talk through. We got might as well get, the Packers are at the Bears tomorrow at 1:00 on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears get 5 points, so they're a home dog.
Yeah.
The whole situation, the Bears lost last week 19-3 to Patriots, beat them. I actually got that game right. The Packers were coming off a bye week. And we've got the Bears. Now, they just fired their offensive coordinator, who they hired earlier in the year, Shane Walter. He's coached 9 games, now he's fired.
Mm-hmm.
Evil Flus is like, you got to figure he's gone at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't do anything, he's going to be gone. He's out. He's going to be gone. And Shane Waldron, like they say.
Shane Waldron, thank you.
He's not, it's almost like, what's the guy's name? Went to the Raiders. Luke Getsy. Him and Waldron are the same. They all remind me of the same thing. I don't understand why you recycle guys like that.
Yeah, so he's a recycled guy.
The guy that I forgot who he's with. He's Seattle. He did a great job with the year Geno Smith really came back, and now Geno Smith is an established quarterback. But after that, he didn't do nothing. As far as the offensive coordinator, it was one of the lowest ranked offensive coordinators in the league for the next few years, and then they get him. So this was funny, Pat. It was on this week too, so that you brought it up. They asked, not Chris Olave, what's the other receiver that came from Ohio State? He played for Waldron. Who I'm trying to think of. Plays for Seattle.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I know who you mean. That's terrible. Yeah.
Okay. They interviewed him. They said, "What do you think about him going Shane Waldron?" He couldn't even endorse him. He was like, "Well, I wish Chicago good luck." He said, "What do you think of him as the offensive coordinator?" He said, he didn't endorse him. He said he's a nice guy. That's what he kept saying. He said Shane Waldron is a nice guy. He's really a nice guy. And they kept asking him about him as he would not answer. And that told the whole story of what they thought. Seattle thought of him as an offensive coordinator. And they just said, good luck to Chicago. That's all he said. And that you just read between the lines. He had nothing to praise them about with Shane Waldron. And I don't think he's the right guy, because some things you gotta get Caleb, reel him in. Caleb C doesn't have protection. So he's reverting back to his college days of trying to run around and make big plays. Well, the game is much faster than college.
It's a different
and you
game.
Can't do it. You might happen, but it's not going to happen too much. It's just not. And people want to call him a bust and different things now.
Oh yeah, he's
no way.
They got him in the Bust Hall of Fame already.
But if they keep playing him under this kind of circumstances, you can ruin a guy like that.
Well,
hopefully he's got enough resolve that doesn't happen.
We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Well, and here's my theory to why he's not playing good. Because it's the curse of the Chicago Bears. Mm-hmm. This team franchise historically ruined quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So they always talk about, well, the guy, who was the guy that they drafted out of UCLA that was an absolute bust? Cade McNown.
Yeah.
He was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
He was horrible. but he went to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Rex Grossman went to terrible. You can go down the list.
It's almost unbelievable that they was in the Super Bowl 10-6 with Rex Grossman.
With Rex Grossman.
They did. They went to the Super Bowl.
They got to the Super Bowl and lost to Peyton Manning on a rainy night down in Miami. But it just seems to me, remember when Caleb came out of college and the father initially said he didn't want him going to Chicago, then he backed off that real quick. But he was right.
Yeah, he didn't want him going there.
No. And I'm almost now to the I really think that Chicago's just a terrible franchise when it comes to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Look at the history. Go back, always look at history. Look at all their quarterbacks. Look at the history of Bob Avellini. I mean, the last quarterback that was, I would say, good was McMahon. Jim McMahon was a good quarterback.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
He was good. But since then, they really haven't had anybody. And even before Jim McMahon, they never had anybody till Sid Luckman, and he was like, 1940s?
So that's the last time. I mean, that's all they could talk about is back then.
Right. You could talk about Luckman, and then you had McMahon in 85, and then first of all, that's a 40-year gap between Luckman and McMahon.
And he only had a 4-year stretch for McMahon, maybe even only three because he was injured a lot.
He got hurt a lot.
84, he was pretty good. He got injured towards the end of the season. They lost in the championship to the 49ers.
Right.
85, he was there. They won it all. And then 86, he got hurt. And he got hurt again. They had to put Flutie, and then what's the other guy? Walsh. I think all of them was playing quarterback back there.
And they lost to Washington in the playoffs, and then Washington got beat by the Giants.
And then that's and then after that, he was a good backup in Philly and different places like that, which he's going to be good. He can come off and win games for you. But other than that,
but you look at the history of all their quarterbacks. They've been bad.
And I was hoping that he could, and it's not over yet, but I was hoping he could change their fortune because, like they said, as of late, yesterday they was just talking about that, the graveyard, and they said, you want to die as a quarterback, go to Chicago, go to the New York Jets, and they said, and as of late, go to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And you are just a train wreck for quarterbacks. That's sad to hear, some of your franchises, especially those, those are, and you could take the Jets out if you want because that's the old AFL, but I'm talking about the established NFL from way back.
You're talking back
Cleveland
in like the 30s
and Chicago.
And 40s,
those are that's historical franchises, and they're horrible with quarterbacks.
Yeah, Cleveland was in the 40s. They came
I know
over.
Deshaun Watson had injuries in his situation, but he looked like he'd never played football. I mean, he just looked like he's just so out of sync that he don't even know how to.
I don't know.
He can't even play anymore.
Yeah, he looks like he's done.
It's weird. I mean,
he looks like he's spent.
Now, is it just there and it's going to be different somewhere else? Maybe so, but man,
look at Baker Mayfield playing really good for Tampa Bay. He was good for Cleveland, but
for a season and a half, maybe
he had that. He played good for Cleveland when he was healthy. He hurt that shoulder, made the mistake of playing through it, and he couldn't do it. He played bad, and then Cleveland gave up on him and got rid of him. But when he was healthy, he did get Cleveland to get him to a playoff.
Yeah, he got him there. So it's just he was just so inconsistent.
He had
that season though. He's decent. The season before, inconsistencies.
He was
and different things,
but
like
he was
that.
developing. But the point is, now he looks pretty good for Tampa Bay. They just have injuries for the wide receivers. But the whole point of it is, it just seems that he leaves Cleveland and he's actually pretty good.
That's what might happen.
So
with Watson, I think that might happen with him.
What's going to happen with Caleb is, and they're already calling him, he's already the bust. He's already this. Everybody's now all jumping on I told you Jaden Daniels is better than him. I had one of those guys, I forget which one it was. Yeah. Oh, I told you, I said Jaden Daniels was the better quarterback than Caleb Williams. Look at the difference, yada, yada, yada. So now you have all that going on.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Caleb Williams' careers after not even one full year, maybe in balance here. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I think you bring up good, but listening to, it was Pete Briscoe that was on with Brady Quinn, and he says a lot of it is the offensive line play is just horrendous.
Yes, it's terrible.
He said across the board in the NFL that the offensive line play is just awful, and he's right. I've been saying that pretty much all year. Is a lot of the problem is with these teams is you don't have the offensive line, and you think these quarterbacks have the capability of dropping back. And they can't because they don't have the time to be dropping back and throwing the ball down the field because you don't have that many seconds to do it. But they keep trying to do it. Mm-hmm. And then you got a Caleb Williams who's a rookie. He's getting what I always refer to it as the happy feet, where he can't stay in the pocket because he's gun shy now because he's been getting hammered and sacked. Yeah. So his first inclination is when something doesn't look right, I got to run. And that's a good and bad thing because sometimes that's a bad habit. Daniel Jones has that habit. Now, I don't know if he's ever going to be able, I still don't think Jones is a horrible quarterback. I just think he's been sacked so many times and beat up. He just has that tendency to want to move out of the pocket and not look at the receivers because he knows he doesn't have time.
See, that's the thing with them. They run. Caleb still be looking down, but he's trying to make big plays. And what he needs to do, he holds the ball
too long,
and then he doesn't. And then even if he doesn't hold it, sometimes he gets rid of it. But he's always going downfield.
Right.
He's got to start looking and say, I'll take the 3-yard gain, 2-yard gain,
the dunk.
Yeah, just take those. And until somebody says that, just drive that home. I think things have changed because when you start dropping it off, these guys are gonna say, "Oh, hey, wait a minute." They're getting behind us. They're getting down the field on these little dinks and dunks. Then things will start to open up. But as long as with that offensive line, you had guys off the street at tackle last week, and your guards were plain injured, and the only one who was really healthy was the center. And man, that just, I seen one time he got the snap when the ball was not even to him yet.
He was getting
those guys was in the backfield. He got the ball, just took off. He had to take off. I said, this is insane. So, and that's fans, though. Fans don't look at the
people have no patience.
Yeah. No. They don't look at the intricate part of the game. They just look at, look what he did. He's terrible. Get him out.
Oh, yeah. And they look at the numbers and the quarterback ranking, and that's it, the rating.
And then Richardson, his situation, when you was getting ready to talk about him, they should have planned for that. Like I said, you bring him in. You're the number one. I'm not putting you on the field. We're going to sign Flacco. Flacco's going to be the starting quarterback. I want you to learn. And we might get some packages to get you in here for some game. But let's just go with that ideal. And then the next season, maybe that. But they put him in. They rush him in. They're looking for him to do that. 13 starts in college football.
You didn't have that many starts.
You can't do that.
No.
Because the pro game is completely different.
180 degrees.
It's just completely. And the people used to ask me about that. Could you tell the difference? Yes. Because it's things I could do covering a guy. I can peek in the backfield, look back, and I can get right back to him. Little peek and bye-bye. He's gone past me so fast. Make your head spin.
Because of speed.
It's just too fast. You can't do all that. So you got to read your keys and know what to do. It's a completely different game.
Because now they're gone back to Richardson. Indianapolis Colts, because let's face it.
They have to.
Well, they don't have any choice because Flacco, the sad part with Flacco is he's 39. He looks like he's 39.
Now, yeah, he does.
And he looks old. And I watched the Sunday night game against Minnesota. He just looks old. And he can't make the plays. And the team, I don't think, is that good either. I don't think the Colts are a very good football team. I don't think the line plays out well. I just don't think they're a good team. Saying they're an average team is being nice. But the bottom line is, when I saw them play with Flacco and then they lost the following week, last week they lost 2, then I kind of figured, well, I'm not surprised they're going to go back to Richardson because they're technically they are. I'll look it up, but they're still in a playoff hunt.
Yeah, they're still in it.
So they're still not out of it, but maybe they just figure at this point in time.
I don't see why not, because
Richardson gives them a better chance to win because
Flacco's no threat to run or do anything, make plays with his feet. And right now, he's just throwing off his back foot, trying to use his arm strength, and they're picking him apart. I mean, he's getting pick after pick after pick.
They lost last week to the Buffalo Bills 30-20. They were kind of in the game, but you knew Buffalo was going to win it. But
you could tell.
You could just tell.
And you was waiting for when is his interception going to come.
Right.
Because he's definitely been throwing them like crazy.
And they lost the week before, as said, Minnesota 21-13. So I think that at the end of the day, Richardson is back.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, the Colts are 4-6. They're playing the Jets this week. We'll get to that game. And the Jets are just that's another dumpster fire.
Yeah. Talent all over the place, and they horrifying.
They lost to the Cardinals last week, 31-6. They look terrible.
Yeah. Or did the Arizona Cardinals make them terrible? Because they are a lot better than people may think.
There you go. The other thing now.
They look great. Kyler Murray has advanced so far as a quarterback. Remember how they was talking about, I think only about a year and a half ago.
He was a bust.
Yeah, he's a bust. Get him out. He's terrible.
Oh, he's terrible. He's going to be a bust.
I know it wasn't last. It was the season before. Right. And they was like, okay, he's starting this, not this season, but last year. Oh, just go ahead and put him in there. He's a bust. This guy, if he's not a reason why they win, I mean, just dropping him right in there to Harrison to make.
Oh, I know.
I mean, just popping right in there.
He throws a great ball.
Yeah, and he stand now. Remember how short he is.
Yeah.
He's right in the pocket.
He's still in the pocket, making those throws, and he can move around, make things happen with his legs. But he can throw it pass right where he needs to throw it. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at the Cardinals, and you're thinking to yourself in the back of your head, "Hey, wait a minute."
Yeah, I know, and I like this stuff happening. Another thing I like having. The only thing I don't, I hope Justin Fields is able to go somewhere else, unless they keep, I don't know what Pittsburgh going to do. But I am glad that Russell Wilson is playing that good.
Me too.
I hated that Justin Fields is there. He's not the reason, but that he has to sit behind that. But I like that because of what coach at Denver, Peyton, said so much about he's terrible. He can't play. He just downgraded Russell Wilson. How's he playing that well in Pittsburgh like that? Peyton was our genius. I still think he's a good coach, but the things he says, so many derogatory things.
Yeah, I'm not sure
against him and coaches. I hated what he said again about Hackett. You don't say that about another coach. Just in your coach room, don't do that.
That's
he just did too many things, and
the fraternity issue.
Yeah, why do you do that?
You never throw another coach under a bus.
And he said something about the receiver too. From Ohio State. What's his name? Mike Thomas. He has derogatory comments about him when they were saying Thomas is out there. He might be a nice free agent to pick up this year in the offseason. And he said some derogatory things about him.
About what wide receiver?
So Michael Thomas used to play for New Orleans from Ohio State.
Oh, Thomas.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah. Michael Thomas.
And now Thomas is not in the NFL, but he said a lot of things about
that's true.
him.
He did say that's
and
right.
I'm like, why are you throwing? This guy was your perennial all-pro that did so much with him and Breeze. What are you throwing him? Why is he getting thrown under the bus? Now the guy's not playing at all.
At all.
Because sometimes people listen to that and say, he's a headache. I'm not going to mess with him. And he's out. So I just didn't understand
I'm not sure
what was going on with Peyton, being away from the game and now just throwing guys up under the bus. And you seen him and Bo Nix go at it one time on the sidelines early this year. They were screaming at each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's
So I don't know what's up with Peyton.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because you see, Fields said this. Justin Fields said that he thought the coaching in Pittsburgh was just so much better than it was in Chicago. He said that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That might be the same thing
now,
for
exactly. Do you think that Russell Wilson won't say that publicly?
Right. Yeah.
But maybe among his friends,
he might say that.
He's saying, man, Pittsburgh is so much better. I mean, the coaching in Pittsburgh is so much better than it was in Denver.
Because isn't it kind of funny? He looks like Seattle Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he looks like the good Russell Wilson at Seattle. Right. Yeah, when he was really good there. Yeah, he's starting to look like him again.
What is that?
Everybody thought he was washed up and done. He was over. He was old. He's 35, I believe. And they thought Russell Wilson was finished.
And if you don't think words mean something, they talk so much about that. I didn't look at stats. I just looked at just listening to what they're saying. I said, he must be terrible. He just done. Russell Wilson. Then I looked at his stats for last year. He had 28 touchdowns, I believe it was, or 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, or it was 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Whatever it was, he's single digits in interceptions and 20-something touchdowns.
Yeah, he played really good, though, in Denver his last year.
But Champagne said he was terrible.
They wanted him out.
Yeah, I want him out. He's terrible. And they benched him at the end, remember?
Yeah, they did.
They didn't play him
because they were going to get rid of. They didn't want him to get hurt because they would owe him the money. It's what Daniel Jones is going through right now with the Giants.
Yep,
we'll
same
get to
thing.
that. They don't want to get him hurt because then they have to pay them.
Yep, right.
That there's an injury, whatever bonus or whatever the heck it is. But bottom line, they have to pay him more money. And they took the $85 million dead cap hit and got rid of Russell Wilson. And basically, Pittsburgh now has him.
Tomlin said, thank you.
And Tomlin's like, yeah.
And Tomlin is fine because if anything, if he get nicked, he can feel comfortable enough to put Justin Fields in there.
Good.
You got to run the offense differently, but it's still enough to win because of their defense.
But Fields was winning. Granted, not pretty, but he won games for you.
Right.
Russell Wilson the offense looks better with Wilson.
Oh,
there's no doubt. There's a difference. But looking at like the Steelers now and Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now, granted, he hasn't played. Played 4 games? 3 games. He's played 3 games. So he's played well. They've won their games. And they got the big game with the Ravens this week at home, 1:00. And we'll pick that game too. But the whole point is that Russell Wilson, played that game against the Jets and then, Giants and Washington. And he's won all his games for them. He's 3-0 as a starter. And obviously Pittsburgh now is surprising everybody because no one thought Pittsburgh was going to be this good.
Right.
And again, they are 7-2. Pittsburgh. They're playing 7-3 Ravens. The game Thursday, and then we'll get to the Packers Bears. We'll come back to it. But the Commanders at the Eagles, I thought my impression of that game was, and I thought when it was 12-10, they should have kicked the field goal to make it 13-12. Washington had the ball. They were down there. It was 4th and 3. And I'm thinking, kick the field goal, get your points, go up 13-12 because there was 5 minutes left in the game or 6 minutes anyway. And then he went for it. And they don't get it. And then right after that, boy, it was I thought, and I overheard a few other people say this, they thought that the game just did a 180-degree turn. And Philadelphia got down, and Saquon Barkley looks like...
Well, I felt in me and then watching it, I felt that was going to... I thought they should have
that too?
Well, I felt that it changed. I would have tried to kick. I understand they had the new kicker. It wasn't
but
sure.
It wasn't a long field goal.
No, it would have been 48.
Yeah, it would have been like a 40-yard. They were close, right?
I think he could have. It would have been. I think they said 48 yards.
Yeah,
they was concerned about it, but because of how he was kicking in warm up, so they was concerned. So they wanted to get the touchdown or get in either closer. But I just felt in that game. I felt the change before that. I seen little trickles of when is he going to break one. I could see it coming.
Barkley,
I seen it coming, and I could see all of a sudden little connections of things starting to happen with the little pass game. And I said something is going to break, but I don't know when because I could see it coming. I said they really got Washington, under wraps as far as making big plays. Yeah, they couldn't do anything. So I said something's going to happen. I said, but I don't think it's going to be too much. This is going to be some kind of touchdown. But I said Barkley's going to break one soon, and then after that happened, and then.
He broke 2 of them.
Yeah. And then he started breaking them 8-yard runs, 9, I said, oh, yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
And then when Washington when Daniels threw that interception.
Yeah.
And then Philly got the ball and scored. That was it. That was game, set, match.
Yeah.
Right then and there. I knew this is over.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley and all the Giant fans watching that was probably choking on their beer or their beverage or their hot dogs as he is running down.
Oh, what, Giants?
Giant fans are choking on their...
That's what the announcer said. The announcer said the Giants fans right now are so upset at the Giants brass.
Really...
Because why did you let this guy go?
It was the GM.
Yeah.
The GM was the one... Shane was the one that let him go. Well, because that was in that Hard Knocks episode.
Yep, I remember that.
And he was the one that came out and wanted him gone. He didn't want Saquon Barkley. Right. And because I think Mara was questioning him and he goes, no, I mean, it was his call. Mara let him make that call. Yeah. Because they had the money to pay him. That was stupid.
Yeah.
The way
that's why it was stupid.
And
that's
that was
right,
stupid.
Right there.
Because they turned money away and gave it to other players. That was such a crock of baloney.
And Daniel Jones was upset about that.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones,
he was upset. He said, wait, we do have the extra money.
Right.
Why? Right. You're not going to give it? He didn't like that at all.
No, because he was Daniel, right. He was Daniel Jones' safety line.
Yeah. I mean, he understood it, that's going to be a major factor, and it was.
And it was.
And Tennessee, whoever's at home, they're beating themselves over the head.
When you see Derrick Henry.
Oh, my God. He's supposed to have been washed up.
Yeah, he looks washed up.
Yeah, he's done.
He and Saquon Barkley are in the washed up Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Then they mentioned another back. It's one more. Because I remember they had their little pictures up. These are the guys.
Had another one.
It was one more. I can't remember who it is.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, we got to figure. They said he was done too. And all these guys went somewhere else and been just like renovation projects and just been
horrible.
Made their teams great. And they're big factors.
Yeah, I mean,
when Ravens are on a tear, man, what do you do with that? You know, Lamar still playing great, and then you give it to him. Oh man, that's hard.
Saturday morning sports page, fourth quarter. We'll get to the NFL picks right after this on Western Reserve Radio.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
Yeah.
SMU.
Yeah, we have to work out the college rankings. That's we would call that's fluid. That's changing. So what they predict is great, and they could talk about it, but with all the football left to play, the college rankings are obviously going to change. Let's get to our picks. Packers are at the Bears, 5 points. Packers lay 5 points. Bears, the home dog, getting 5 points at home.
I'm going to take the Pack.
Yeah, I don't think that one's not too hard. Maybe the Bears snap back after losing 19-3 to the Patriots and looking awful. Mm-hmm. I'll be surprised. Okay, the next one, you bet, get the lumber truck because you're going to drop. It's the Jags are at the Lions. It's the biggest spread of the week, 14 points. The Jags get 14, 2 touchdowns.
That's a lot of points.
They lost last week to the Vikings 12-10, but I didn't watch a lot of that game, but listening to some people they said the Vikings should have won like 40-7, but the Vikings couldn't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
The Jags are awful. Now, how awful are they? They feel like Rodney Dangerfield, but
I know I don't know if I want to go out on a limb.
But that's 14 points.
Yeah,
I guess the question is going to be, can they cover? The Lions got outplayed last week. That Sunday night game last week was kind of a turnover machine. It was like a back and forth turnover game. And the Lions got outplayed, but won 26-23.
And that's
all you need.
Yeah. I mean,
You play a lousy.
You want to win.
Yeah. You play a lousy game. Now, I shouldn't say they played a lousy game. They didn't play a very good game, but they still came around and won.
Something make me want to take Jacksonville. I just don't. I'm thinking Mac Jones. Is it Mac?
Mac Jones is playing because they said Lawrence was out. I heard that
don't
again.
Know if he can.
I can't. I got to go Lions. If Mac Jones is playing, forget it. They stay.
Well, I
Mac
just think
Jones
he can't.
He's terrible.
I just don't think he can get the ball down the field.
He can't. I mean, bring Tyler. What's his name?
Mac Jones better than
Tyler Perry. I mean, Tyler Perry. I mean, no, Tyler. Did Tyler Perry play football? No, I don't think he did. I don't go. I mean, get what's his name? Our buddy Palco, Tyler Palco back. No, Mac Jones is just. That's a bad quarterback draft. That's Trey Lance. That's not a good draft. That was not a good quarterback draft. But
do I want to take the Jags?
Do you want to? I believe.
Can they have a letdown? I wonder who they play the following week. Detroit. I don't know.
Oh wait, well we can look all that up.
Let's just see just who they because they. Just
because
look past
if
them.
you're,
I don't know.
If you're interested,
I don't think Dan Campbell will let them look past. He's just a coach.
Campbell usually isn't going to be let. Usually Dan Campbell, because he's kind of the type of guy that, he's not going to let them do that. But for the record, if you're interested, if we need to know that, their schedule would be, they play Jacksonville, then they're on the road against the Indianapolis Colts.
No, so they're not looking past.
Then they got the Bears at home, Green Bay at home.
That's a big one.
Buffalo home.
That's a big one.
At Chicago, at San Fran, and Minnesota home.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So they got some big games, but they're not looking past this group.
Not to go to Indianapolis, no.
Not to play the Indianapolis Colts.
You know what? No, I'm going to take it because had one of the worst games ever, Jared Goff. And he's not going to do that again. No, 5 interceptions. He's been efficient the whole season until that one. So, yeah. That's a lot. You said 14.
14. That's the biggest.
Man, that's a lot.
That's the biggest spread of the day.
Can you give up that much lumber?
14. That's what the problem is.
I think that's a mistake if I do that. That's a lot of points in the NFL.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying if I heard Lawrence is not going to play.
Yeah, that's what I thought he's not playing.
Because I heard they already said that Lawrence isn't playing. So he's not playing. Mac Jones is not. He's not a good quarterback. He wasn't that good with the Patriots. He had problems there.
I mean, he did so in his last game. I was with when I watched it. Right. I mean, but it just, I just don't know.
Well, we could come back to it.
I got to think about that.
Think it over.
That's 14 points. Wow.
14. Don't overthink it because Jacksonville stinks.
Yeah, I know they.
And they should have. And they should have.
Great against the spread, though.
Yeah, I know. They have a tendency to do bad.
They're good against it. Like 6-1 against the spread.
Against the spread, and I know all that. Detroit's playing good. But you're right. Detroit could have the letdown. They're due. I mean, maybe they're on a roll here where because they barely beat the Texans. Maybe they're just kind of in a rut there. And maybe they're to be had, which you could say. I just have no faith. And granted, we got that wrong because we took the Vikings last week and lost because they didn't cover. They played terrible.
That was the problem. They should have beat them.
They should have beat them. Put 40 because they were saying this. They were someone.
Oh yeah,
I think it was Jonas Knox was saying that game was ridiculous because somebody said Darnold went back to being like the Darnold of the Jets.
Yeah,
he looked terrible.
Yeah, he was.
They played terrible, but they won 12-7, and they should have won like 30-7.
Yeah, I didn't like how he looked at all.
No, he looked horrible. But
I don't know what happened.
Anyway, we'll come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. You going to pick it? You ready to pick it?
Yeah, I picked it. I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have any. Yeah, I'm going with my gut is telling me if.
I just don't think they're going to have
Lawrence isn't starting. That quarterback's terrible. He's a bad quarterback. And he's not, and they're playing in the dome in
Mac
Detroit.
Jones will make you eat his words, but I think Detroit.
Maybe he will. Maybe Mac Jones will go out and be.
I just don't think they're going to. Detroit's going to have an offensive game like they did this past week.
Right.
And I think they might take it out on Jacksonville. I don't care how Mac Jones.
Too.
Mac Jones could play
Could
great.
Be like Johnny Unitas.
They might still score 50-something.
Yeah.
Detroit, they're so upset. I'm sure they're upset.
I'm sure Campbell's got him coached up that way.
Yeah. See, just because of how he is. So I'm gonna take Detroit.
Okay.
I get a 14. I get a lumber up.
It's a lot of lumber, but I'm going with it because maybe I'm being too hard on Mac Jones, but let's go to the Vikings at the Titans. Another putrid team, the Titans, 2-7. What was the reason why they got rid of Rabel again? Rabel was what was he? Mike Rabel was a bad coach. They got rid of him, the big change.
Yeah, they needed a change in the locker room.
Yeah, they got the change in the locker room. They got it all right. 2-7.
Yeah. It wasn't the coach. It was you lost a lot of good players.
Yeah, a lot of players. The GM made all those bad trades and got rid of. And Rabel had a crappy team, and he had no say. He's the coach. And
Callahan, not his fault. If he could have had Derrick Henry in that backfield,
right,
to take some of that load off of Levis, it might be and there's nothing taken away from Tony Pollard and Spears, but they're not Derrick.
No,
Henry.
You're not Derrick Henry. And they thought he was done. Everything Derrick Henry's done. He started.
That's why Dallas didn't get. Wait, we don't need no Derrick Henry.
No.
Yeah, you need a whole lot.
You need a lot more.
Wow.
Well, what do you want? You see, the Vikings look crappy last week.
And how many is Tennessee getting?
6. They got beat by the Bolts last week by 10. They're home.
They had Jefferson bracketed. He couldn't get him the ball. I'm guaranteed he'll force Jefferson the ball this week. And I look for big plays. I've taken the Vikes. I'm going
Vikings. On paper, they're the better team. Let's move to the Raiders at the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Raiders were on a bye. The last time they played at Cincinnati and got beat 44-24. I don't know if they're able to make some changes, adjustments. They've had a week and they have a week to think about it. The Miami Dolphins, we got this wrong because we had the Rams beating them and they beat the Rams and they look great on Monday night beating the Rams, which I can't figure this team out. But with Tua, if they can block for him, but Tua's going to get another concussion the way he plays.
Tackling?
Right? Why is he tackling that guy? And he's leaning with the shoulder and the head.
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing about it, I'm his teammate, and I seen him just like do as they say, the proverbial, here's the swinging door. You could just run. I wouldn't even get mad at him. I know he's our leader. I don't want him getting a concussion.
No.
So don't even try to
run off the field.
Yeah. If you wanted the guy to go past, you just grab his jersey until somebody come. I don't care anything.
No.
Don't be sticking your head in there.
No.
He stuck his head in there.
Somebody was saying the other day,
McDaniels was mad.
Sure. I listen to a lot of sports talk, but the consensus is get the hell off the field. Just get away from the play. We don't care. If the guy scores a touchdown, fine, let him score a touchdown. We don't care. Because if you get a concussion, you're done for the rest of the year, and we're screwed.
Yeah, and then probably it might be his career.
And that's the other thing. If you get another significant concussion, not only could it be season-ending, potentially career-ending, i.e., don't get near it. Get away. Someone said, no, let him get away from the play altogether.
And it's not,
because you don't want him getting injured or hurt or hit. Just
and that's I can tell he's a football player.
I know, and that's it.
Playing quarterback guy, because he just don't he's not thinking. But I got to make the tackle. Right. But he's got to remember this. Hey, just get out the way.
The Raiders and the Finns back to the game.
Where's the game at?
At Miami. So the Raiders are coming east. Miami lays 7 points. The Raiders get 7 points, a touchdown in Miami. Now, if Miami plays anything like they did last week but that's the Monday night. It could be the hangover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders. I can see the Dolphins winning, but are they 7 points? I don't know if they consistently can do it.
And the Raiders have had a week off.
Yeah, I know. So you can regroup some things, try to regenerate some batteries, get the guys that want to play. I'm
taking the Raiders because I'm going to go with the premise that they've had the time off. It always helps. Miami's played Monday night. They're coming off that game. Probably a little bit of a hangover.
Yeah.
Raiders can keep it within 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Let's go to the next one. The Rams are at the Patriots. Rams coming off a bad Monday night loss, 23-15. And the Patriots, big road win against the Bears. 19-3. And they're all saying, Drake May doesn't look too bad. He's playing pretty good all in all. Drake May's numbers are good. He's being, quote, thrown to the wolves, but he's actually played good.
Yeah.
And it's not a great team around him, but he's able to hang in there and make plays, and people are really impressed with the way he's been playing.
And they getting how many points?
4.5.
Yeah. I'm taking the Rams. And one thing I find out, Rams didn't play great, but one thing that I will say, they got a pass rush.
They do.
And they're coming. And these guys are young, and they're coming, and that's what Drake May going to see. I think he might be throwing the ball.
They're coming east. They had the Monday night loss. They've had it one day. Now they're coming all the way east, playing in New England.
I would still take them,
and you're going to take them.
And I don't usually do that, but
all right,
I am.
I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to take the Patriots. They're getting 4.5. I like the fact it could be a field goal game.
Could be.
And since it's going to be a field goal game, I'm taking the team with getting the points. That's how I'm looking at it. I don't know I don't think the Rams will lose. I think they'll win, but I think the Patriots
keep it in.
Will keep it close, keep it within 3. So I don't know. The next one is a dog game. It's the Browns at the Saints. And actually the Saints get a point. They're a home dog. The Saints are a home dog getting a point against the Browns. I don't know why the Browns giving a point on the road because they're not any good, but evidently the Saints aren't any good. They lost. They beat the Falcons last week. We got that one wrong, 20-17. The Browns are coming off a bye.
Which is another good thing again.
Which is a good thing because maybe they get players back.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Browns. I'm gonna go ahead and
it's almost an even bet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with a hometown, our home state, just for this time.
All right, I'll do the other end. I'll take the Saints at home. I'll take the home team on a close game.
Yeah.
The Colts are at the Jets. Oh boy. Two teams going nowhere. And the Jets, we talked already, they got absolutely crushed last week against the Cardinals. Boy, Rodgers just looks like he's getting beat up. They look out of sync, 31-6. The Colts are the Colts. They lost to the Bills at home, 30-20. The Jets are basically giving the Colts 4 points.
Wow.
I don't know where you go with any, because some of these games, I just don't know where.
I'm going to go to the Jets.
Let's see what weather's going to be.
This game is in New York?
That's going to be... it's going to be good. 61 degrees, so it's not going to be bad. Colts are the dome team. You said you want the Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the Jets at home.
Yeah.
They bounce back.
Yeah, that's all.
Richardson starting for the Colts.
Yeah.
He probably will struggle. And the next one may be the best game of the lot or the second best game of the lot. Ravens are at the Steelers, and the Steelers are getting 3 points. Home dog, Steelers get 3 points.
Well, I heard a weird stat. How many years have Lamar been in the league?
Was it 7?
7 years. So that's a chance of 14 games at least regular season against the
Steelers.
And he only played 4. He's only played in 4.
Yeah, because he's been hurt a lot.
He was hurt, and then it was like end of the season games. Then they arrest him. He just didn't play.
He didn't play,
and he hasn't beat them. I don't think he has beaten them. I don't know if he has or maybe got one.
He might not have won a game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and he hasn't played many against them at all.
So, he hasn't, right, because he's been hurt, right.
So is it just something about the matchup makes me want to just take Pittsburgh to 3? It's hard.
I'm taking the Steelers and the 3 points.
Yeah, that's what I said. This makes me, is it really some type of curse? But I tell you, if they start scoring, they can't get in a scoring match with the Ravens. It's over then.
Lamar Jackson, for the record, is in his 7th year with the Colts. Yep, 7th year. I'll take the Steelers. I got it. I'll take Tomlin and the points.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it in points too.
Falcons are at the Broncos.
Ooh.
-2. Broncos give Falcons 2 points. Broncos lost a heartbreaker last week. They outplayed the Chiefs, but lost 16-14 with the field goal getting blocked.
Yep.
The end of the game. And the Falcons lost to the Saints I'm
gonna take the Falcons in the points.
You're gonna take Falcons?
Yeah, I'm telling you. It's tough though. You going up there in old Rocky Mountain area. It's tough up there.
I don't like the Falcons out of the dome. In Mile High, I'll take the Broncos and lay the 2 points. Seahawks are at the 49ers, and they're getting 6 and a hook.
Wow.
So they are off a bye. Last time they played, they lost to the Rams 26-20. 49ers didn't play really that great a game last week, but managed to win 23-20 over the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers should have won that too.
Yes.
They really should have.
That was a game the Buccaneers, they dominated and they lost a game they obviously should have won, and that's the killer. 6.5 points. But Seattle gets 6 and a hook on the road. And the 49ers really haven't been playing well this year at all.
No. I'm going to take Seattle. 6 and a hook?
Yeah.
I'm just going to take them. I think they get DK Metcalf back. I think so. He's coming back from the knee. They need that extra weapon in there. Key is if they can run the football with Walker, Charbonnet, they got to be able to run. So it don't be all on Geno Smith. But I don't even think Brock Purdy has played that well. You know, he was the darling of everything.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
But the center retired from the Seattle Seahawks. Their center retired.
In the middle of the season?
Yeah, as of today or tomorrow. Yes, that was they lost their center, retired, like now.
Wow.
27 years old, 7 years in the league, and he basically said, that's it. Connor Williams, 27, abruptly retired.
That's something. He was at the Cowboys. He was
retired at 27 years old.
He played at the Dolphins, too.
Yep. He quit. He's out. He's retiring now. That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes guys wake up, their body tell them something, and just say, you know what, I don't feel like it no more.
I'll take the Seahawks.
Yeah, I am too. I'm take 6 in the hook, right?
Yeah, I'll take the points, lay the points. Let's go the Chiefs at the Bills. This is maybe the biggest game of the week. I think Steelers and Ravens is the second biggest. This is the biggest. The Chiefs are getting 2 points at Buffalo, and they don't have their kicker. Harrison Buckner is out with the
that's why I'm going to take the Bills.
He's had a surgery. He's out, not for the year maybe, but he's out for this game.
The Bills have shown they can beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
They can't beat them in the regular season.
They just can't do it in the playoffs so far. So I'm gonna take the Bills again.
Yeah, I'll take the Bills at home.
Yep.
I think it's, I think they'll win it.
That's Sunday night?
No, that's the Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah, that's a
4:25. They only have 3 late games. Falcons at the Broncos at 4:05. Seahawks at Niners 4:05. Both Fox. And then this is the only game on CBS 4:25.
Those only 3, 4 o'clock games. Huh?
There's 3, 4, but this is the 4:25 game.
That's the later.
This is the later of the late
Chiefs
games.
is the late. Okay, the other ones are 4:05.
Right. So that's it.
Yep.
So you got really pretty much 3 late games and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Bills too. Let's go to the Bengals at the Bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday nighter.
That's a great one. That's a good one. Who's getting the points?
The Bengals get 1 and a hook. And they're playing Harbaugh and the Bolts, and their wide receiver, Higgins, is back.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals, but it's hard because the best defense in football right now
is the Bolts.
Yeah, their defense
that's
is
typical.
tremendous.
That's Harbaugh.
And they can run the football.
They can run it.
With Dobbins and them, they run the ball. And it's perfect the way things been going for them because they run. Now Herbert is healthy.
Yeah.
And now the receivers are gotten better. All those guys that were young, now they're into it. Quentin Johnson looking like the first round draft choice they wanted. This is a hard game to pick.
I'm
right
taking
here.
the Bolts at home because the Bengal defense has been really suspect all year. I think with the ability for the Bolts to run the ball, and now Herbert is healthy, Harbaugh's going to want to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he's going to have to want to. You don't want the ball in the Bengals' hands on offense.
He's going to keep
too much over there.
Right. He's going to keep the ball out of Burrow's hand because that's who can beat him. But I think the Bengal defense to me has been bad this year, not good. So I think the Bolts will exploit that, keep the ball away from Burrow and dominate the line of scrimmage. And because that's his game, Harbaugh coaches that kind of football. Mm. So I think ultimately I'll take the Bolts and lay the 1 and a hook.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with the Bengals.
Go Bengals.
Yeah,
good.
I'm going to stay with them.
Okay. Let's move on to the Monday nighter. And this is down in Dallas. It's the Texans are at the Dallas Cowboys, who obviously got boat raced last week against the Philadelphia Eagles 34-6. Was an ugly game.
It could have been worse than that.
Should have been worse than that. I think Philly
took the foot off.
I think Sirianni took the foot off the gas a little bit. He could have went up in the 50s. Yeah, he could have made it in the 50s. Boy, the boys, they look bad. Texans, a tough loss last week.
Oh, man.
The boys are getting 7. Dallas is getting 7 points. I'm going to take the Texans and lay the 7s.
And the Cowboys might do something on Monday night, might shock us. But
and
they're going to have to just shock me because they look
terrible.
This is the worst I've ever seen them.
They haven't looked this. I mean, I can't remember when Dallas.
Gary Hogaboom was the quarterback?
Yeah, Hogaboom. And Dave Campo was the head coach.
Who's that?
Dave Campo was the head coach. Remember Dave Campo?
Yes, I remember.
Jimmy liked him so much.
Who did?
Jimmy. What's his name? Jerry. Jerry loved Campo. Jerry loved Dave Campo.
Yeah.
Dave Campo was my coach.
Because he's a great puppet.
Because he was the greatest. Yeah.
He was great. One of his best puppets he ever had.
Could call up into the owner's suite. What do we call now? What play do you want me to call now, Jerry? Can you get what play should we call?
That's why I loved him. Seriously.
That's why I loved him. Because he was I give Dave Campo all the credit in the world. He knew what the deal was, and he just, all right, I'm coach.
It's a game that's just in my mind when Campo, it was back. Hogaboom was a quarterback.
Right.
They was playing the Chicago Bears. They got beat. I think it was 52 to nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Way back in like 80. That was like one of the, 85. Yes. That was the 85 game because I remember it. I turned it on.
It might have been 44-0, something like that.
It was 40. Right. What happened is, I'll never forget it. They were talking about how great a game it was going to be. And Dallas was basically really starting to hit downward slide. And the Bears obviously were kind of, that was their year. Yeah. And I remember that game. I remember.
That was awful.
I was doing something and I said I turned the set on like maybe a half or 40 minutes into the game, and I'll remember the score was like 28-0 or something stupid. I go, this game just started.
Yeah.
And it was over.
Yeah, I remember Hogaboom getting hit by Wilbur Marshall.
Yes.
His helmet was going the opposite way. It was just a massacre. I mean, they got beat so bad. And this is what I'm seeing in Dallas now. And it's hard for me to just totally laugh at them because that used to be one of my favorite teams.
Yeah.
But when Jerry came and got rid of Tom Landry, I was so upset. But he hired my guy, Jimmy Johnson. So I was still with him. But when he fired Jimmy Johnson, I've never looked back. I can't stand him.
You know, it's real funny you said that because tomorrow is November 17th, right? November 17th would be in 1985. That's 39 years ago. 39 years ago, Chicago Bears went down to Dallas and beat them 44-0.
See, 44-0.
You called it. You called it right
that thing.
on.
I watched that thing. I was like in amazement. It was they beat them so bad.
Beat them like a drum. I remember that game because it was like, I remember flipping it on. I go, what happened here?
Can you imagine that it was on this day? I didn't know.
Yeah.
To be right at this time.
It's 39 years ago tomorrow. It will be the game that they lost 44-0. Wow. It's so funny that you bring that up because I'm thinking, wow.
Because and the only reason that made me bring it up is when you said Dave Campbell.
Yep.
And I thought about it. I said, I just remember his look. And he was looking around. And I said, he probably was doing what you said, calling Jerry what to do next.
What do we do now? We were down. They were down 24-0 at halftime.
See?
And went on to win 44-0. 39 years tomorrow will be the anniversary of Dallas getting shut out by Chicago Bears.
Oh, my God.
Everybody have a great, a safe week. We do it again next week. Saturday morning sports page on Western Observe Radio.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
You're watching VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show right here on VSiN, the sports betting network where you get your winners.
Hour number 2 of the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show. I'm your host, Tim Murray, here in lovely Las Vegas. We are an hour away from games kicking off for Week 12, and it's going to be a long day as we just talked to Quinn Kesnich, who will be on the sidelines there for that BYU-Kansas game. Will BYU be on upset alert? I believe they will. I think Kansas wins the game outright. It is one of my official plays. It was actually my first bet of the week to take 3.5 with Kansas. Let's see if we do get a 3 to show up. Will the house need Kansas or BYU? We'll talk to Chuck Esposito, as always, behind the counter, coming up in less than 30 minutes. Matt Humans, my partner in crime on the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. He'll join us in less than 15 minutes. We'll run through his favorite plays. And then, as always, we wrap up the second hour of the program going no huddle with as many games as we can get to, especially the ones starting in that noon window. But I want to run through some situational angles here this afternoon. And I'll start with the Utah-Colorado game. And Utah, I am so fascinated by how this team comes out today. First and foremost, we've got the quarterback situation where it does look like Isaac Wilson, who was reportedly dealing with an illness, is going to try to give it a go. So that is something to keep in mind. But why I have Utah on here as well as BYU. How does Utah get off the mat after that? Look, it's been a nightmare of a season for Utah. They were the betting favorite to win the Big 12 this year, and now they're under 500. And now you're going on the road, 10 a.m. start time. Your starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, Cam Rising, he's done for the year. Brandon Rose, done for the year. You're going back to Isaac Wilson. There was a thought that he could be out today. You fired your OC or let him retire, however you want to decide it, with Andy Ludwig. Keithy, the tight end, he's done for the year. It felt like last year was the Super Bowl. Now, what I will say and why Colorado isn't an official play for me, this Utah defense does travel. They are very impressive. And let's be honest, Kyle Whittingham, I don't know how much he's got left in the tank there as the head coach of Utah. He's been a phenomenal coach. And Coach Prime, he recognizes that the guy he's going up against today is pretty darn good on the other sideline.
I respect the head coach that we're getting ready to go up against so darn much. It's unbelievable. He is one of the pillars of the Big 12, of course. He was like that with the Pac-12. He's a legend. He's a legend. He's a true legend. What he's done consistently Utah is unbelievable. So I have not only respect, but admiration for what he's accomplished. And I would just wish my career could be a portion of what he's accomplished and all the young men that he's sent on to the NFL, as well as a better situation for themselves with the tools that he's instilled in them.
You know, this is a big game for Colorado, obviously. They're number 17 in the college football playoff rankings. Travis Hunter's the odds-on favorite at some shops to win the Heisman Trophy. Shedeur Sanders could very well be the number one overall pick, number one quarterback selected. So you've got an opportunity, Colorado does, in a ideal spot on Big Noon kickoff here to make a statement. Looking at team totals right now for this game, Utah under 14.5 is minus $1.30 at DraftKings, or you could go under 7 in the first half. I actually think that's an interesting way to attack this game. I don't know how Utah's offense is going to have much success at all here. And Utah, the reason why I wouldn't lay the number, once again, it's that defense. I do trust that defense, but you wonder if they're going to be on the field too long. So that's one of the letdown spots. The team that they lost to last week, BYU, we just heard from Quinn Kesnich. Is this a letdown spot? He gave us a great anecdote. Kalani Sitake had a team meeting saying, hey, we got to turn the page. We can't be too excited about what we saw last week. Human nature sets in. Now, if this were on the road against Kansas, I think this would be an absolute hammer spot on Kansas. I've still bet Kansas. I still like them to win this game outright, but it is at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, which is a very, very challenging place to play. It's going to be cold. It's going to be at altitude. So I don't know if BYU is your classic letdown spot, knowing how much is still in front of them, but you just beat your rival in the fashion that you did. LSU, your season's kind of over. LSU, 3.5-point favorites at Florida. However, two things about this game. Well, three things. Number one, DJ Lagway is expected to play. I don't anticipate him to be 100%, but he is expected to play. Number one for Florida. Number two, Brian Kelly, if he does anything well, it's winning as a favorite. You think about his time at Notre Dame towards the end, finding these tricky spots. Brian Kelly has done a very, very good job of avoiding the massive letdowns for his teams, especially when they are expected to win. Lastly, believe it or not, LSU, there are scenarios out there where LSU still has an opportunity to make the SEC championship game. And it's not that crazy to see LSU. The scenarios aren't, well, if this team is a 27-point favorite, loses, and then this, it's pretty straightforward. I think if chalk holds, that LSU will be in the SEC championship game. So there are scenarios where that could happen. And boy, that would be quite the interesting spot there of LSU to make the SEC championship and win the SEC. And then you would get a potential bid thief. Hey, it's not March. We're talking bid thieves in November. That certainly could happen. All right, last one in letdown spots. And I want to let you know about the fired coach bump and what we've seen so far. I don't know if you heard about it, but Kennesaw State fired their head coach, Brian Bohannon, this week. Kennesaw State is in year one of transitioning from the FCS to the FBS. They're in the Sun Belt, in the CUSA. And by the way, they own the second biggest upset of the college football season. They beat Liberty as a 27-point underdog.